Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sam, and today we'll be getting settled into the holiday season. So grab a blanket, grab a cup of hot cocoa, and let's get into it. During the holiday season, I'm usually so busy that I work myself into a reading slump. There's so many good holiday stories out there that it can be overwhelming. I can never decide whether I want to go modern or classic, romance or comedy. Well, I've compiled a little list of Christmas stories to help out people in my situation. I hope I've included a little something for everybody, but if you have a favorite holiday story that I didn't mention, feel free to comment down below and let me know. For the first book on my list, I'm going to be starting off with a classic that's been retold time and time again, most recently by Disney. The Snow Queen is an 1844 story written by Hans Christian Andersen, and it actually has 7 parts to it. 1. About the mirror and its pieces. 2. A little boy and a little girl. 3. The flower garden of the women who knew magic. 4. The prince and the princess. 5. The little robber girl. 6. The Lapp and the Finn women. 7. What happened at the Snow Queen's palace and what happens afterwards. The story starts with an evil troll crafting a mirror that only shows the bad and ugly parts of whoever looks into it. The troll and his students decide that they're going to use this mirror against the angels of heaven. However, when they go and try to get into heaven, they drop the mirror, shattering it into dust-sized pieces. These pieces are picked up by the wind, scattered over the earth, and when they make contact with a human, they turn their heart to ice. In the next part of the story, we meet 2 best friends, Gerda and Kai, and Kai's grandmother tells them the story of the Snow Queen. And the Snow Queen is a queen who is in charge of the snow bees, which are just bee-shaped snowflakes. Later on, Kai sees the Snow Queen, and she calls out to him. However, he retreats in fear. Eventually, a piece of the mirror gets to Kai, and he becomes cold and cruel, abandoning his friendship with Gerda. The next winter, he goes into town and meets the Snow Queen again. Using her powers, she makes Kai forget about his friends and family and takes him away. Gerda, on the other hand, is still really worried about Kai, and when she goes into town, she's told that he's drowned in the river. However, she finds out that this isn't true when she goes to the river spirit to try and bargain for Kai's life. The river spirits send her off on a journey to find him, and Gerda meets several strange characters along the way, eventually reaching the Ice Queen's castle. The story ends in a very similar way to Frozen. When Gerda finds Kai, her tears end up flushing the mirror piece out of him, and he is no longer frozen. They escape the queen, and like most fairy tales, it ends in a happily ever after. This book is very sweet, and it's a classic story you just have to check off your reading list. The main themes of the Snow Queen do have Christian ideologies, with the grandmother even quoting the Bible at the end, so if that is something that is upsetting to you, I would steer away from this. However, if you're willing to read around that, or are religious yourself, I would definitely give this one a read. Another classic book I'd like to mention is Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. These stories were originally letters sent to his children by Father Christmas in between the years 1920 and 1944. It is said that these letters are actually the original inspiration for The Lord of the Rings. Like I said, these stories are letters from Father Christmas or his secretary elf about the adventures and hijinks they have around the world. You can read these all in one go, or you can use each letter as a countdown to Christmas. These stories are super charming and family friendly, so if you're looking to read to your kids to soothe them down before the holidays, this is definitely your go-to pick. Jumping ahead to the 80s, I have a tale that many of you are probably all familiar with, but it hits home every time. The Polar Express. Yes, it's a movie starring Tom Hanks that you either love or put in the uncanny valley. But did you also know that it was a 1985 children's book? The Polar Express is so widely read that it's become a modern children's classic, and it's not that hard to understand why. If you don't know what the Polar Express is, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. There's this kid, and he's losing faith in Christmas and Santa. He goes to bed on Christmas Eve only to wake up that same night to discover that a train is running through his backyard. When he boards it, he finds a bunch of other children on there and discovers that they are on their way to the North Pole. When they get there, Santa picks this boy to receive the very first gift of Christmas. The boy chooses a sleigh bell from the sleigh and puts it in his pocket, where he promptly loses it. However, when he wakes up the next morning on Christmas, he discovers a box under the tree with a sleigh bell in it, and it's from Santa. This cements the fact that it wasn't a dream, and he continues to keep his belief in Santa and the bell. Growing up, anybody who celebrates Christmas always ends up at that big question: is Santa real? I love the Polar Express because while the idea of the story centers around that question, it's never exactly answered. That's not the point of the book. The point of the book isn't to see if Santa is real or not. The point of the book is believing. I feel like adults have such a fondness for this book because it brings a sense of nostalgia and what it really feels like to be deep in the magic of Christmas again. We may no longer believe in Santa, but we can still believe in everything that Santa stands for. Speaking of Santa, not all are made equal, or as jolly. Take example from my last pick on this list, Terry Pratchett's book, The Hogfather. Taking place in the setting of his famous Discworld series, The Hogfather is a story about the traditions and winter celebrations of the people that live here. On December 32nd, Hogswatch night, the Hogfather comes and grants wishes and brings presents to children. Oh, and he's also the reason that the sun rises? When the auditors of reality take out a hit on the Hogfather, it is Death's responsibility to take his place as Santa so children keep believing and the world moves on to the next day. I don't want to give too much away, but this story involves mythical creatures, made-up gods, and a tooth fairy robbery. For those with a darker soul still trying to get into the holiday spirit, I definitely recommend reading The Hogfather. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Comment down below and let me know what you're reading this holiday season. If you'd like this video, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, all my other social media will be linked down below, and I'll see you guys next week for more shenanigans.